The universe was vast, silent, and eternal. Stars burned, galaxies spun, and civilizations rose and fell, all in perfect, predictable harmony. But one day, something changed. In a distant corner of the cosmos, a galaxy went dark. It wasn't a slow fade or a natural collapse. One moment, it was there, glowing with the light of a billion stars. The next, it was gone. Vanished. As if it had never existed. Scientists across the universe scrambled to understand. Telescopes turned, probes were launched, and theories were debated. But no one could explain it. The galaxy was simply gone. On Earth, a lone scientist sat in a dimly lit room, staring at a screen. The room was cluttered with papers, empty coffee cups, and the hum of machines. The scientist was tired, eyes bloodshot, hair disheveled, but there was no time to rest. Something about this event felt wrong. The scientist had been monitoring the galaxy for months, studying its unique energy patterns. When it disappeared, the data didn't make sense. There was no black hole, no supernova, no trace of destruction. Just silence. And then, something strange happened. A signal appeared. At first, it was faint, a blip on the screen, barely noticeable. But it grew stronger, clearer. The scientist leaned forward, heart pounding, as the signal resolved into a pattern. It wasn't random. It was a message. The scientist's hands trembled as they decoded the signal. It wasn't in any known alien language. It wasn't even in a language the universe had ever heard before. It was human. The words appeared on the screen, stark and chilling. They fear us. They should. The scientist stared at the words, a cold knot forming in their stomach. What did it mean? Who sent it? And why was it coming from a galaxy no human had ever reached? Before they could process the questions, the screen flickered. The signal changed. This time, it wasn't words. It was an image, a single, haunting image of a human figure, standing amidst the ruins of a shattered world. The figure's eyes burned with an intensity that made the scientist look away. And then, the signal was gone. The scientist sat back, breathless. The room felt colder, darker. The universe, once so vast and unknowable, now felt smaller. As if something had shifted. Something dangerous. The scientist knew one thing for certain, this was only the beginning. The scientist couldn't sleep. The image of the human figure amidst the ruins haunted their thoughts. Who was it? What did it mean? And why did it feel so personal? The next morning, the scientist gathered a small team of trusted colleagues. They were the best in their fields, astrophysicists, linguists, and engineers. Together, they began to analyze the signal. At first, the team was skeptical. A human signal from a distant galaxy? It seemed impossible. But as they dug deeper, the evidence became undeniable. The signal was real, and it was human. The team worked around the clock, decoding the data and piecing together the puzzle. What they discovered shocked them to their core. Hidden within the signal was a message, a warning. It spoke of a power that humans possessed, a power so immense that it could shake the very fabric of the universe. According to the message, this power was tied to human emotions, specifically, anger and despair. When pushed to their limits, humans could unleash a cosmic energy that defied all known laws of physics. The team was stunned. They had always known that humans were unique, but this was something else entirely. Is this even possible? One of the team members asked, voice trembling. The scientist nodded slowly. The evidence is clear. This power exists. And if the signal is to be believed, it's been there all along, hidden within us. The room fell silent as the weight of the discovery settled over them. If this power was real, it changed everything. Humanity was no longer just another species in the universe. They were something more. Something dangerous. But with great power came great responsibility. The team knew they had to tread carefully. If this power fell into the wrong hands, the consequences could be catastrophic. We need to learn more, the scientist said finally. We need to understand how this power works, and how to control it. The team agreed, but there was one problem. They weren't the only ones who knew about the signal. As they worked, they began to notice strange things, unexplained glitches in their equipment, shadows moving in the corners of their eyes, a feeling of being watched. At first, they dismissed it as paranoia. But then, one of the team members disappeared. It happened late at night. The team had been working late, as usual, when one of the engineers stepped out for a breath of fresh air. He never came back. The team searched for him, but there was no trace. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. The scientist felt a chill run down their spine. They were being watched. And whoever, or whatever, was watching them, they weren't friendly. The team knew they were running out of time. They had to uncover the truth before it was too late. The disappearance of the engineer sent shockwaves through the team. Fear and suspicion filled the air as they realized they were no longer alone in their quest. Someone, or something, was watching them. The scientist called an emergency meeting. The team gathered in the dimly lit room, their faces pale and tense. "We're not safe here," the scientist said, voice low. "Whoever took him knows about the signal. They know what we're trying to uncover." "But who are they?" one of the team members asked, eyes darting nervously to the door. The scientist hesitated. They had a theory, but it sounded too far-fetched to say out loud. Still, they had no choice. "I think it's the aliens," the scientist said finally. The room fell silent. The team exchanged uneasy glances. "Aliens?" another team member asked, incredulous. "You mean, like, extraterrestrials?" The scientist nodded. "Think about it. The signal came from a distant galaxy. The message spoke of a power that even the universe fears. Who else could be behind this?" The team was skeptical, but the evidence was hard to ignore. The glitches, the shadows, the feeling of being watched, it all pointed to something beyond human understanding. As they debated their next move, the lights in the room flickered. The hum of the machines grew louder, then suddenly stopped. The room was plunged into darkness. The team froze, hearts pounding. Then, a voice echoed through the room, deep, resonant, and utterly alien. "You are close to the truth," the voice said. "But the truth is dangerous." The team spun around, searching for the source of the voice, but there was nothing. Just darkness. "Who are you?" the scientist demanded, trying to keep their voice steady. There was a pause, and then the voice spoke again. "We are the Watchers. We have been observing your species for millennia." The team exchanged shocked glances. The Watchers? Observing humanity? It sounded like something out of a science fiction story. "Why?" the scientist asked. "Why have you been watching us?" The voice grew colder. "Because you are different. Unique. Your species possesses a power that even we do not fully understand. A power that could destroy the universe." The team was stunned. The message in the signal was true. Humans really did have this power. "But why hide it from us?" the scientist asked. "Why not let us know?" The voice was silent for a moment, as if considering the question. Then it said, "Because you are not ready. Your species is young, impulsive, and driven by emotion. If you were to unleash this power, the consequences would be catastrophic." The scientist felt a surge of anger. "You don't get to decide that for us. We have the right to know what we're capable of." The voice grew sharper. "And what will you do with that knowledge?" Will you use it to create? Or to destroy? The team had no answer. The voice continued, we have tried to guide you, to suppress your evolution, to prevent you from becoming a threat. But now, you have found the signal. You have taken the first step toward unlocking your power. And that is why we cannot let you continue. The room grew colder. The team felt a sense of dread as they realized what the Watchers were saying. You're going to stop us, the scientist said quietly. The voice was silent for a long moment. Then it said, we will do what we must to protect the universe. Even if it means erasing your species from existence. The lights flickered back on, and the hum of the machines returned. The voice was gone, but its warning lingered in the air. The team sat in stunned silence, the weight of the Watchers' words pressing down on them. They had uncovered the truth, but now they were faced with an impossible choice. Continue their quest and risk the wrath of the Watchers, or give up and let humanity remain in the dark. The scientist looked at the team, their eyes filled with determination. We can't stop now, they said. We have to see this through. For humanity. The team nodded, their fear replaced by resolve. They didn't know what lay ahead, but they knew one thing for certain. The universe would never be the same. The team knew they were walking a dangerous path. The Watchers had made their intentions clear, but the scientist and their colleagues couldn't turn back now. They had to understand the power hidden within humanity. They set up a secure facility deep underground, far from prying eyes. The walls were lined with advanced equipment, and the air buzzed with tension. This was where they would conduct their experiments. The scientist had a theory. If human emotions, specifically anger and despair, could trigger this cosmic energy, then they needed to find a way to replicate those emotions in a controlled environment. They started small. Volunteers from the team were asked to recall their most painful memories, loss, betrayal, heartbreak. The scientists monitored their brain activity, searching for any sign of the energy described in the signal. At first, nothing happened. The volunteers felt the emotions, but there was no cosmic energy, no shaking of the universe. The team grew frustrated. Had they misunderstood the signal? Was the power just a myth? Then, one day, something changed. A young researcher, who had lost their family in a tragic accident years ago, volunteered for the experiment. As they relived their memories, their pain was palpable. Tears streamed down their face, and their body trembled with grief. The scientist watched the monitors closely. At first, there was nothing. But then, a faint energy signature appeared. Do you see that? The scientist whispered, pointing to the screen. The team gathered around, their eyes wide with excitement. The energy signature grew stronger, pulsing in rhythm with the researchers' emotions. It's working, one of the team members said, voice filled with awe. But then, something went wrong. The researchers' grief turned to anger, a deep, burning rage at the injustice of their loss. The energy signature spiked, far beyond what the equipment could measure. The room began to shake. The lights flickered, and the machines sparked and smoked. Shut it down, the scientist shouted, but it was too late. The researcher let out a scream, and a burst of energy erupted from their body. It tore through the facility, shattering equipment and sending the team flying. When the dust settled, the team was battered but alive. The researcher lay unconscious on the floor, their body glowing faintly with residual energy. The scientist rushed to their side, checking for injuries. Miraculously, the researcher was unharmed. But the facility was in ruins. The team stared at the destruction, their minds struggling to process what had just happened. They had witnessed the power firsthand, and it was far more dangerous than they had imagined. We need to be more careful, the scientist said, voice trembling. If this power can do this much damage in a controlled environment, imagine what it could do in the wrong hands. The team nodded, their excitement tempered by fear. They had taken the first step, but the road ahead was fraught with peril. As they worked to repair the facility, the scientist couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The Watchers had warned them, and now they had proof of humanity's potential. The universe was watching. And it was afraid. News of the experiment spread quickly. The Watchers, true to their word, had been monitoring the team closely. Within days, a message arrived, not as a signal, but as a physical envoy. A massive alien ship descended onto Earth, its sleek, silver surface gleaming in the sunlight. The team watched in awe and fear as a delegation of aliens emerged. They were tall, with shimmering skin and eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. The leader of the delegation, a being known as the Arbiter, addressed the team in a calm but firm voice. "You have awakened a power that should have remained dormant," the Arbiter said. "The universe cannot ignore this. You must answer for your actions." The scientist stepped forward, trying to mask their fear. "We didn't mean to cause harm. We only wanted to understand." The Arbiter's gaze was piercing. "Understanding is not the issue. The issue is control. Your species has shown that it cannot be trusted with this power. Therefore, you must stand trial." The team was stunned. A trial? For what? For being human? But they had no choice. The Arbiter made it clear that refusal was not an option. The trial was held on a neutral planet, a place where representatives from across the galaxy could gather. The team was brought before a council of alien species, each more ancient and powerful than the last. The Arbiter served as the prosecutor, presenting evidence of the team's experiments and the destruction they had caused. "This power is a threat to all life," the Arbiter said, addressing the council. "If humanity is allowed to continue down this path, the consequences will be catastrophic. They must be stopped." The scientist was given a chance to speak in humanity's defense. They stood before the council, heart pounding, and tried to explain. "We are not perfect," the scientist said, voice steady despite their fear. "We make mistakes. But we also learn. We grow. This power is a part of us, and we have the right to understand it. We can learn to control it, to use it for good." The council listened, their expressions unreadable. One of the council members, a being with a voice like thunder, spoke. "And what if you cannot control it? What if your anger, your despair, consumes you and unleashes destruction on a scale we cannot imagine?" The scientist hesitated. They had no easy answer. Another council member, a gentle being with glowing eyes, spoke. "Perhaps there is another way. Instead of destroying humanity, we could guide them. Teach them to harness this power responsibly." The Arbiter shook their head. "The risk is too great. We cannot gamble the safety of the universe on the hope that humanity will learn restraint." The debate raged on, with voices for and against humanity growing louder. The team watched, their fate hanging in the balance. Finally, the council reached a decision. The Arbiter stepped forward, their voice solemn. "Humanity has shown both potential and peril. We cannot ignore the danger they pose, but we also cannot deny their right to exist. Therefore, we offer this verdict: humanity will be given one chance to prove they can control this power. If they fail, they will be eradicated." The team felt a mix of relief and dread. They had been given a chance, but the stakes were higher than ever. As they left the council chamber, the scientist turned to the team. "This is it," they said. "We have to prove that we're more than our anger, more than our despair. We have to show the universe what humanity is truly capable of." The team nodded, their determination stronger than ever. The trial was over, but the real challenge was just beginning. The team returned to Earth with a heavy burden. They had one chance to prove humanity's worth, and failure was not an option. The Council's verdict had set a deadline, one Earth year to demonstrate control over the cosmic energy. The scientists knew they couldn't do this alone. They needed more people, humans who could harness their emotions without losing control. Volunteers were recruited from across the globe, each chosen for their unique experiences and emotional resilience. The training facility was built in a remote location, far from populated areas. It was designed to withstand the kind of energy surges they had seen in the earlier experiment. The team worked tirelessly, developing techniques to help the volunteers channel their emotions safely. The first few weeks were chaotic. The volunteers struggled to tap into their emotions on command, and when they did, the results were unpredictable. One volunteer, a soldier who had seen the horrors of war, unleashed a burst of energy so powerful it shattered the reinforced walls of the training chamber. Another, a mother who had lost her child, created a shockwave that knocked out the facility's power grid. The team was frustrated but determined. They knew this wouldn't be easy. The scientists spent long nights studying the data, searching for patterns. They noticed something interesting: the energy was strongest when the volunteers focused not just on their pain, but on what they wanted to protect. It's not just about anger or despair, the scientist explained to the team. It's about purpose. When they channel their emotions towards something positive, like protecting others, the energy becomes more controlled. The team adjusted their approach. They began teaching the volunteers to focus on their loved ones, their dreams, their hopes for the future. Slowly, progress was made. One volunteer, a young artist who had survived a natural disaster, was the first to succeed. She closed her eyes, thinking of the people she had saved during the disaster, and a soft glow surrounded her. The energy was calm, steady, and completely under her control. The team cheered, their spirits lifted. It was proof that humanity could master this power. But not everyone was successful. Some volunteers couldn't overcome their pain, and their energy remained volatile. The team had to make the difficult decision to send them home, knowing they couldn't risk another accident. As the months passed, the team grew closer. They shared their stories, their fears, and their hopes. They weren't just colleagues anymore, they were a family, united by a common goal. But the watchers were never far away. The team could feel their presence, watching and waiting. The arbiter visited occasionally, observing the training with a critical eye. "You have made progress," the arbiter admitted during one visit. "But progress is not enough. You must prove that you can control this power under the most extreme conditions." The scientist nodded, knowing the arbiter was right. The real test was still to come. As the deadline approached, the team prepared for their final demonstration. They would show the council that humanity was capable of greatness, not just destruction, but creation. But deep down, the scientist couldn't shake a nagging fear. What if they weren't ready? What if they failed? The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders, and the weight was almost too much to bear. The team was making progress, but the pressure was mounting. The deadline was only a few months away, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Every day brought new challenges, but also new hope. Then, something happened that shook the team to its core. It started with small things: missing supplies, strange errors in the data, equipment malfunctioning at critical moments. At first, the team dismissed it as bad luck or human error. But as the incidents grew more frequent, they began to suspect something more sinister. The scientist called a meeting to address the issue. "We can't afford these mistakes," they said, frustration evident in their voice. "If we're going to succeed, we need to be at our best. Does anyone have any idea what's going on?" The team exchanged uneasy glances. No one wanted to voice the suspicion that was growing in their minds. Finally, one of the volunteers spoke up. What if someone is sabotaging us?" The room fell silent. The idea was unthinkable, but it made sense. The scientist's heart sank. They had trusted everyone in the room, but now doubt crept in. Who could it be? And why? They decided to investigate quietly, not wanting to cause panic. But the truth came out sooner than they expected. Late one night, the scientist was working alone in the lab when they heard a noise. They turned to see one of the team members, a quiet, unassuming engineer, sneaking into the data room. The scientist followed, keeping their distance. They watched as the engineer accessed the main computer and began downloading files. "What are you doing?" the scientist asked, stepping into the room. The engineer froze, their face pale. I can explain," they stammered. But the scientist didn't need an explanation. The truth was written all over the engineer's face. "You've been working with them, haven't you?" the scientist said, voice trembling with anger. "The Watchers. You've been sabotaging us this whole time." The engineer looked down, unable to meet the scientist's gaze. "They promised me safety," they whispered. "For me and my family. They said if I helped them, we'd be spared." The scientist felt a surge of betrayal. This person, someone they had trusted, had been working against them all along. "Do you realize what you've done?" the scientist said, their voice rising. "You've put all of humanity at risk." The engineer's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't have a choice. They said if I didn't help, they'd destroy everything. I was just trying to protect my family." The scientist's anger faded, replaced by a deep sadness. They understood the engineer's fear, but that didn't make the betrayal any easier to accept. The next morning, the team gathered to decide what to do. The engineer was brought before them, their head bowed in shame. "We can't trust them anymore," one of the team members said, voice hard. "They've put us all in danger." Others agreed, but the scientist hesitated. "We're all afraid," they said finally. "We're all trying to protect the people we love. But if we let fear divide us, we've already lost." The team was silent, considering the scientist's words. "What do we do, then?" another team member asked. The scientist looked at the engineer, who was still trembling with guilt. "We give them a second chance," the scientist said. "But they have to earn our trust back. And they have to help us fix what they've broken." The engineer nodded eagerly. "I'll do whatever it takes. I swear." The team agreed, though not everyone was happy about it. They knew the road ahead would be even harder now, but they also knew they couldn't afford to lose anyone. As they returned to work, the scientist couldn't shake the feeling that the Watchers were closer than ever. The betrayal had been a warning, a reminder that the universe was watching, and it would stop at nothing to ensure humanity's failure. But the team was determined. They had come too far to give up now. The final demonstration was set. The Council had agreed to observe humanity's progress, but the Watchers had other plans. On the eve of the demonstration, the team received a chilling message from the Arbiter. "Your time is up," the Arbiter's voice echoed through the facility. "The universe cannot wait any longer. Prepare to face judgment." The team knew what that meant. The Watchers were coming, and they weren't coming to watch, they were coming to destroy. The scientist rallied the team, their voice filled with determination. "This is it. This is our chance to show the universe what we're made of. We've trained for this. We've fought for this. And we're not going to let them take it away from us." The volunteers stood tall, their eyes burning with resolve. They had come so far, and they weren't about to back down now. The battle began at dawn. The Watchers arrived in a fleet of sleek, silver ships, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. The team stood their ground, ready to defend Earth with everything they had. The first wave of attacks was brutal. The Watchers' weapons tore through the landscape, leaving destruction in their wake. But the team fought back, using their newfound power to create shields of energy that deflected the attacks. The scientist watched in awe as the volunteers worked together, their emotions fueling the energy that protected them. It was chaos, but it was also beautiful, a testament to humanity's strength and resilience. But the Watchers weren't easily defeated. They adapted quickly, targeting the volunteers one by one. The team began to falter, their energy waning under the relentless assault. The scientist knew they had to do something drastic. They turned to the engineer who had betrayed them, now a trusted member of the team. "We need to amplify the energy," the scientist said. "If we can channel it all at once, we might be able to push them back." The engineer nodded, their hands flying over the controls. "I'll do my best." The team gathered in the center of the battlefield, their hands joined. They closed their eyes, focusing on their emotions, their love, their hope, their determination to protect what they held dear. The energy grew, swirling around them like a storm. The watchers hesitated, sensing the power building. Then, with a deafening roar, the energy exploded outward, a wave of light and force that swept across the battlefield. The watchers' ships were thrown back, their weapons silenced. For a moment, there was silence. The team stood, breathless and exhausted, but victorious. The watchers were retreating, their ships disappearing into the sky. The scientist looked around at the team, their heart swelling with pride. They had done it. They had proven that humanity was more than its anger, more than its despair. But the battle wasn't over yet. The arbiter appeared before them, their expression unreadable. "You have shown great strength," the arbiter said. "But strength alone is not enough. The universe must see that you can wield this power responsibly." The scientist nodded, understanding. The real test was just beginning. The battle was over, but the war for humanity's future was just beginning. The Watchers had retreated, but the Council's judgment still loomed. The team knew they had to prove, once and for all, that humanity was worthy of the power they possessed. The scientist stood before the Council, their heart pounding but their voice steady. Behind them stood the team, volunteers, engineers, and researchers who had risked everything to get to this moment. "We stand before you not as conquerors," the scientist began, "but as learners. We have made mistakes. We have caused harm. But we have also shown that we are capable of growth, of change, and of using our power for good." The Council listened, their expressions unreadable. The Arbiter stepped forward, their gaze piercing. "Words are easy," the Arbiter said. "Actions are what matter. Show us, beyond doubt, that humanity can be trusted." The scientist nodded and turned to the team. It was time for their final demonstration. The volunteers stepped forward, their faces calm but determined. They closed their eyes and focused, not on their anger or despair, but on their hope for a better future, their hope for peace, their hope for unity. The energy began to build, but this time, it was different. It wasn't a storm of destruction, it was a gentle, glowing light that spread across the battlefield, healing the scars left by the battle. The air grew warmer, the ground greener, and the sky clearer. The Council watched in awe as the energy transformed the desolate landscape into a thriving, vibrant ecosystem. It was a display of creation, not destruction, a testament to humanity's potential. When the light faded, the scientist turned back to the Council. "This is what we are capable of," they said. "Not just destruction, but creation. Not just anger, but love. We are not perfect, but we are learning. And we will continue to learn, to grow, and to use this power responsibly." The Council was silent for a long moment. Then, one by one, they began to nod. The Arbiter stepped forward, their voice softer now. "You have shown us something we did not expect. You have shown us that humanity is not just a threat, but a promise. A promise of growth, of resilience, and of hope." The scientist felt a surge of relief and joy. They had done it. They had proven humanity's worth. The Council's verdict was clear: humanity would be allowed to keep their power, but under the guidance of the Council. Together, they would ensure that this power was used wisely and responsibly. As the team celebrated their victory, the scientist looked out at the horizon, where the sun was rising over a new world. They knew the road ahead would not be easy, but they also knew that humanity was ready. The universe had trembled when humans unleashed their rage, but now, it would marvel at what they could create. And as the scientists turned to their team, they smiled. "This is just the beginning," they said. The lesson. The story ends with a powerful lesson: true strength lies not in the power to destroy, but in the wisdom to create. Humanity's journey is a reminder that even in the face of fear and doubt, growth and redemption are possible.